Cool. Well, I don't have questions necessarily prepared for this. Yeah, I just wanted to talk for a moment about Mills Teacher Scholar
Cool.
and the work so far, and just kind of checking with you about your inquiry and like how it's going and how it is it matching what you envisioned? Is it what you hope for? Are there ways we can better align those two, the outcomes and what you would hope for? Or let's just start with just what did you hope for? Your hopes when we talked about this way back in June actually.
Yeah. I don't think I had particularly any visions. I think for the past 2 years, I've just kind of been doing what the department was focusing on, which was first there was the rubric for the vertical alignment, and then it was the CER with claims, evidence, and reasoning, and then from last year's mid-year retreat, we did the DBQ, which kind of is CER.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've been following this trajectory, and now I guess with Mills Teacher Scholars, it's almost like it's almost natural for me to continue that work because myself on my own, I'm not particularly drawn to any topics, if you will. I'm kind of as I'm trying to be a more holistically learning teacher, if you will, at this stage. There's nothing particular that excites me. I guess if that's the right way to put it. But I mean, claims, evidence, and reasoning, I think I stuck with it even though I was given the freedom. It was precisely because I think it is important. Because I'm seeing a lot of kids with their defenses and really all kinds of work that requires argumentation. Evidence is so terrible. The selection and the reasoning, it's terrible. It's a shock for me. So to be able to do inquiry around that, I think that by itself is like that's matching my ZPD, my zone of proximal development. I don't have a solution at the moment, and of course not a solution when we started. So I think Mills Teacher Scholars, for me, I mean, I don't know if it would have been nice if everybody did the same thing, but it seems like everybody's kind of doing similar things, whether it's productive struggle with choosing evidence or, I don't know, I forgot what you were doing, but yeah, we don't necessarily are all doing the same exact thing like we were with the CR and the I-squared and all these things that are built in for that effort, but I think, at least for me, it's a personalized, so it's like I'm given the freedom to make calls at certain junctures when I need to, or when I feel like it's necessary, and not have to be rigid because we need data for a particular cause. So I think that's the plus for Mills Teacher Scholars, in the sense that I get to do the research. In fact, I have. It's like I've been running an experiment where it's like, is it better to concept teach and then have this project, and then at the end assess them, see if they can find evidence for their claim, or like what the 8th graders are doing now with energy and marble railways. They're building first and then exploring the concepts and see what kind of arguments they can come up with, and then teach them about potential, kinetic, and all these terms.
Wow.
So I don't know what kind of data that's going to yield. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so it's a very interesting project. You said a lot right there. Let me see if I can try to capture some of it.
Good luck.
The fact that you feel like you're still learning so much makes you feel like you could be put in a lot of focal areas or given a lot of focal direction, and you would probably get something out of that. But you still feel that evidence collection, use of evidence with reasoning to prove an argument is still a big lever point, or a big lever to pull for helping students with something that's important.
And I mean, it helps them too with their assessment in other classes.
Right.
It's just because I mean everything is so much into explaining now, and they're not, and even AP, they're not going to get by with it's going faster.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to get by, and so right now, even in 7th grade, I didn't do this the previous 2 years, but now in 7th grade, they are forced to, like, it's no longer about completion. Like, you can write a statement and still get a 0 because you did not. I think it doesn't make sense. So I think my grading has also changed. My practice has also changed in the sense that now that I understand what that higher standard is clearly, because I wasn't too sure what would I do, right? Given that question, how do you know a population is increasing in number? I don't know. Well, how would I answer that? Because there's a difference between knowing it in an industry and just writing the code jargon versus being able to take that information and putting it in such a way that a 6th grader can understand.
Yeah.
Right? And 6th graders understand increase, decrease, x-axis, y-axis, And so now, if they want, like, we're doing graphical data. Like, even yesterday, the objective was, how can I support my claim with graphical evidence? And I thought it was a simple claim, or a simple objective. Turns out, Luttrell didn't know what graphical evidence. Oh, he knew kind of what it meant. It's graph evidence, okay, but he didn't know what exactly constitutes graphical evidence. Which is interesting because my studies on how to choose evidence, and suddenly I thought graphical evidence was clear. You have and I'm sure there's more than just he sits in the front, so he mumbles his thoughts, so I can hear it. So it's so interesting to see that they know what graph is, they know what evidence is, but they get stumped by the phrase graphical evidence. They're like, do I draw something? Do I get this from somewhere? And then, and then you get the product, which is a result of confusion. They will just write, it grows, so the population is increasing. Which is right in particular jargon, it's correct. It grows, assuming that the graph trend line is growing, but they're not using that vocabulary. Yeah. And I always stress them, you guys know this. You're just not writing it.
Yeah, so I think that's a whole, I'm interested because you're lifting up really almost 2 different points for inquiry, right? I think one is that I think this idea of introducing a phenomena, letting them play with it as a basis for developing a question and thinking about, by that question is informed by a whole boatload of evidence, right? Maybe it's unstructured, unformatted.
It's very unscaffolded, which is another area that I'm looking into, because I want them to. I think the thing about the sophomores and the freshmen is that I don't know. I feel like I've been over scaffolding them to the point where it might even be confusing, because they were so focused on what do I write? Tell me the exact words to start, to phrase this idea, and to put the evidence. And I'm just like, I'm getting about 10 of the same papers for this idea, 12 of the same papers for this idea, and I'm like, when you get to high school, you're going to get. and I think some of them are getting pretty screwed right now.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what you're going to collect for data for these two. For the first project, you talk about like this group that's getting the concepts first, they're getting the lecture, they're getting the PowerPoint, whatever it may be, and then they're going to develop a question to explore, to make a claim. And then this other group that's been allowed to for lack of a better word, play a little bit with the materials before they develop their question. And then I wonder, like, what would you want to look at to see evidence selection and analysis of evidence? What would be like the artifact that you would look at?
And I'm just gonna be honest. I think this is one of the areas where I wish I could hire like another me, like someone who would just do purely focus on data analysis. So I feel like my data collection is probably it's weak. I think there's different sets of data that I can take, whether it's metacognitive surveys that kids do on their own, which isn't, in my opinion, is not that strong of an evidence.
Yeah.
There's journal work, but I'm still working out the kinks of the curriculum. So this is where I wish there was two of me, so one can work on making the curriculum robust to the point where the analytical person can just collect data. And so when you ask me that question of what kind of data am I looking for, I think for the past few meetings, I'm really holding true to I'm just going to do my thing and then look at what data is possible. And I'm running into some troubles with that because there's not a wide range that I can really choose from that's meaningful. And so the one that I don't know, you were in my group last time. The one that I chose was like the obvious, like you have to choose evidence to form or to support that claim. So I chose that one. So what kind of data? Journals.
Yeah.
And surveys. I think that's what I've been seeing is, and I don't know if your computer is going to turn off.
Obviously, but yeah, I think we've got enough to have a good conversation. But I conversation aside, I think the journal. I think picking something that you're putting a lot of weight towards, so students know it's important. Putting something that you can just take just your focal students.
Yeah.
Right. And then what part? Like for me, like looking what a kid chooses for background information, right?
Yeah.
Or looking at how they organize evidence.
What would you do with that? Because I think this is what what I was really sad about last year. I would say is that kids is. And I did not spend time with organization, and I think that was a weakness. And maybe organization was that foundation that allowed for growth that I just completely missed the mark. Is if I saw something like this and I could name Fernando Cruz, I could name
exactly.
It's like I can name the kids who struggle. Even Latrell, he struggles with organization, and I wonder if I need to spend some time in science to teach organization, just straight up.
I had to go back and start teaching again in 9th grade. I had to go pull the checklist back out. I even had to pull them out for the 10th grade, for some of the 10th graders.
So I
don't think the checklist is it. I don't think the checklist is the thing.
So what do you think it is?
I think it's the format of the checklist.
Maybe you think so? Because I use the checklist.
Yeah.
And I didn't use it as much. I would say when their exposure in 6th grade and 7th grade, because in 8th grade, the way that it was structured with me and Claire last year was there was also a binder that went with it. And so that was, that kind of pulled into two areas. This year, just is the journals, is the more computerized.
Yeah.
So there's another pull right there. And so, like you said earlier, like finding one thing, and there's always a curveball for me that I wish I knew how to handle. So back to this, like, I don't know what exactly it is is it better communicate? And I don't know if this student is receives SPED services.
Yes.
Okay. So, and I don't know if it's better communication with Playa. Because I know Julian Alvarez is struggling, and he's honest. He can do the work.
Okay.
But he's just, everywhere. And I wonder how he's going to do next year if he comes and has your class. I don't know how he's going to do because he can think.
Yeah,
It takes time.
Yeah.
But his journal's a wreck.
Yeah.
It's still a wreck.
Maybe we do more digital. Maybe if we get these Chromebooks, we can go to digital.
And then you run into the problems of taking forever when they break to fix. I don't know. And I think this is where I need that extra bandwidth to research on. I think we all need extra bandwidth to research on things that are outside of our practice to test and see.
Well,
because we're giving them the tools.
Yeah.
We're giving them the scaffold to succeed. Maybe the checklist is the way it's formatted or whatever doesn't serve kids the way.
But I think they need something like a checklist.
But the problem with that though is that in life they're going to have things that don't serve them. The moment they start college apps, that whole thing is not going to serve them. And I wonder what's the fine line between training them to be able to dissect and use the tools that we give them versus modifying it and having it be more accessible. I want to find that fine line between accessibility and, hey, society's not going to change for you in the next time frame that you're going to apply to college and be successful in the next your learning occupational learning years.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's always when I'm torn between, even in the middle school, in high school, they're not going to give you all these sentence starters. And if you always use this is true because, or my evidence proves this because, it's not going to work.
Yeah, and I think, so
I think it frustrated the taillights out of Nina.
So I think and I think that's what the ninth grade team is finding is what's the grade, how do we transition to that grade zone? I pulled all the scaffolds out at the beginning of the year, I didn't use them. And then I've just slowly been like, oh, it's not working. Here, try this, checklist. Yeah, it's still not great, but you're getting more done? Okay, well, the checklist is working. It's not working great, right? But it's definitely, the checklist has been, students have said straight up, it's helping me.
Yeah.
So, I think my takeaway from this conversation is there are several levers that you're thinking about pulling to make changes for better outcomes for your students. And so I'm just saying, let's just pick one at a time, try one at a time. Obviously, it's soft science, right? But, I think your ideas are awesome. I think what I'm hearing already though, is you got 5 inquiry projects lined up. And
spreading too thin already.
Right, so it's
stick
to one, don't make a whole bunch of surveys if you already have a data source that you feel can inform the greater, output of your class.
Yeah.
Your class is not built around the survey. I'm guessing your class is more built around doing activities, thinking about them, collecting evidence, trying to understand what that is. And I feel like the journal is going to be that piece.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes negative results can be as powerful as positive results, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And so, for example, a journal like this, which is not what we want to see, can maybe inform a positive shift or change because the checklist is not working for him. He needs a checklist for sure, but it's not totally working for him. And he needs more scaffolding around how to organize data.
Yeah, is this the chromosome
Coin flip.
coin flip? Yeah. And what I find interesting is, speaking of negative results, last year it was these 8th graders, 9th graders now, they were in this room. They were doing activities. It was very activity-based year. And to hear that they knew nothing about or they knew little about Punnett squares and all that. It's kind of interesting.
Well, the 10th graders knew less. The 9th graders knew more.
Yeah.
That's where the gap was in the 10th grade. The 9th graders were better. And actually, when I look at their pedigree presentations, they were pretty strong.
So I don't know. It was very activity based. So.
Well, I'm gonna prep fruit flies. We're gonna do fruit flies.
All right.
So I think it'll be interesting for them to carry over all their personal pedigree research and actually do a real life test cross.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see how many of them get grossed out.
Vanessa's question was, how long does it take? What do you mean?
How long does it take?
For a real fruit fly.
I think it's been recording all this time.
I think so.
But yeah, I'm sticking to what it is because that's the most